record label wants you to. Rick Ross knows he has this kid selling his soul, but he has to do it because it's part of his job. And I don't think we're ever going to be able to see what's in these contracts, but it looks like there's a whole side of this that we'll never be able to see, and it's really bad. I want to end this video on a very interesting conspiracy, and many of you probably have heard of it, but this blew my mind. Now, there is absolutely no proof of this, but the way this man was talking, you could tell it is coming from his heart. This man is crazy bone and the clips are long, so I'm gonna try and cut and edit the really important parts, but listen to this.
Secret meeting that changed rap music and destroyed a generation. Damn. So it says, hello. After more than 20 years, I finally decided to tell the world what I witnessed in 1991, which I believe was one of the biggest turning points in popular music and ultimately American society. Closed door meeting with a small group of business insiders to discuss rap music's new direction. Rap music's new direction. Yeah. Little did I know we would be asked to participate in one of the most unethical and destructive business practices ever seen. Crazy. So this was the meeting. The meeting was held at a private residence on the outskirts of Los Angeles. I remember about 25 to 30 people were being there. Right. Most of them familiar faces. Our casual chatter was interrupted when we were asked to sign the confidentiality agreement, preventing us from publicly discussing the information presented during the meeting. Needless to say, this intrigued, in some cases, disturbed many of us. After this meeting began, one of the industry colleagues, who shall remain nameless like everybody else, thanked us for attending. He then gave the floor to a man who only introduced himself by first name and gave no other details about his personal background. I think he was the owner of the residence, but that was never confirmed. He briefly praised all of us for the success we had achieved in our industries and congratulated us for being selected as part of this small group of decision makers. At this point, I began to feel slightly uncomfortable in the strangeness of this gathering. The subject quickly changed as the speaker went on to tell us that the respective companies we represented had invested in a very profitable industry, which could become even more rewarding with our active involvement. Damn. He explained that the companies we worked for had invested millions into the building of privately owned prisons, and that our positions of influence in the music industry would actually impact the profitability of these investments. Then he says, I remember many of us in the group immediately looking at each other in awe and confusion. At the same time, I didn't know what a private prison was, but I wasn't the only one. Sure enough, someone asked what these prisons were and what any of this had to do with music. We were told that these prisons were built by privately owned companies who received funding from the government based on the number of inmates. The more inmates, the more the government would pay these prisons. It was also made clear to us that since these prisons are privately owned, as they become publicly traded, we'd be able to buy shares. He told us that since our employees had become silent investors in this prison business, it was now in their interest to make sure that these prisons remain filled. Our job would be to help make this happen by making music which promote criminal behavior, rap being the music of choice. He assured us that this would be a great situation for us because rap music was becoming an increasingly profitable market for our companies, and as employees, we'd also be able to buy stocks in these prisons.
I know that was long, but basically he's saying that the record labels were investors in private prisons, and this gangster rap that was trending so hard in the 90s would fill up these prisons if they kept talking about drugs, alcohol, crimes, and all of that. Now, there's no proof of this. This is just coming straight from word of mouth, but I mean, I wouldn't doubt it. Why is every song on hip-hop always about drugs, sex, violence, and all of that stuff? That kind of makes you wonder. I mean, I can scroll through all of the songs on YouTube and Apple Music and Spotify and all the rap songs talk about the same thing. But like I said, there's no real proof of that, and that was really heavy, and I personally don't know if it's true, but truth is that these record labels are pushing agendas, and they're not good ones. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I would do anything just to read one of these contracts with some big time, artist. Is there really words that you can't say Jesus? Is there really words where if they want you in this music video half naked or showing whatever, you gotta do it? Or what about all the satanic stuff? I mean, if you watch my videos, there's a bunch of that. It's in almost every single artist.